Hey y'all, welcome to Internet. This is Design 264 with Avery and my co-host Beckett. And today we're doing a tutorial, and it is called Welcome to Illustrator. And Illustrator is an Adobe CC program, and a lot of the things that we go over in this tutorial and subsequent tutorials will apply to other programs in the Creative Cloud. So Photoshop, InDesign, After Effects, Premiere, you got it. There's some subtle variations, but a lot of the tools and a lot of the navigations work. Okay, you're done? Wait, gotta go quick. All right, there's your shoe. Yeah. Okay. Illustrator is a vector-based editing program, or vector native. You can do raster, but do you all know the difference between these two? So vector, the information is for the shape is contained within these points, and the points are on a Cartesian plane, right, at X and Y axis. And the magical thing about these points, which in Illustrator are called anchor points, is they contain information which establishes the relationship between each other. They're adjacent points, and then all of the points that are connected with paths. And if it's points with closed paths, then you can have these solid shapes like this. Raster images are dependent on pixels. So each one of these is a pixel of information, which is the smallest unit within a photographic image. You can add pixels to an image which increases the size, but you can't add more information to make that smooth. You know what I'm saying? This is infinitely scalable as a vector image. Shrink it, expand it. The information is in the points, and so the integrity is not lost as it changes size. So when you open up Illustrator, it looks like this if you're not clicking on one of the templates that I provide you. The first thing I want to point out are these hands-on tutorials, that they are in-app tutorials. So when you click on this, for example, this pop-up window will appear. Let's go, and then it will prompt you to use the tools with these pop-up navigation indicators and these little GIF animations that happen in here, how to create things. So this is a really, really great way to practice tools and get to different techniques. Some are pretty advanced. But back to the screen, what you would do here, and as a reminder, or just as an additional thing, that there are tutorials on the web, video-based tutorials. Also really great. So use the resources. Adobe's done it. They're great resources. When you hit Create New, this new document window will pop up. And you have these different tabs with different options. Each one has some kind of a preset, often used document sizes with the appropriate settings. Well, a lot of the things that we're going to be doing in this class, well, all of them, will be virtual, which is the case anyway for Design 264, and in terms of mostly the design work is screen-based. So clicking web or art and illustration, or literally really any of them, film and video has some guidelines that get in the way. So, web, art and illustration, and then you set it to what you want. Point is the smallest unit of measurement in typography, so that's more for physical things. You want to be in pixels, and then in this width, all of these, I'll say right now, can be changed. But it's good to know that if you're like, I don't know what 288 pixels are, if you want to do the dimensions of a piece of paper, for example, a letter-sized piece of paper, you can do 8.5 quotation marker 8.5 IN, and then hit Tab, and it does that the unit switching translation conversion is the word for you. You can change the orientation, which switches the height and the width measurements. And then artboards you can add. So in some templates I'll have multiple artboards, which are just essentially kind of art composition areas within one document that you can export as a group, or you can export as a single page. And it's just a great way to iterate in your design, to see where you go as you progress the evolution of your design. Color mode, RGB or CMYK. So RGB, red, green, blue. which looks like that, right? That's additive light, so that's light kind of coming at you. So it's either projected out of a projector, say, onto a screen, or it's coming out of a screen, LED based or LCD based, plasma, all of those things. Those are all red, blue, and green lights, and when they add together, they add to white. Subtractive paint or printed material is dependent on this combination of colors: yellow, magenta, cyan, or black. So CMYK, C, Y, M, and then black is K because they didn't want to mix it up with blue and RGB. And that's subtractive colors because you have to subtract those to get to white. So adding colors to get to white is additive, RGB. Subtracting colors to get to white is subtractive, CMYK. And let's look again. So just another illustration. RGB is projected, it's light coming out at you, and then CMYK is paint, it's printed materials. But here you can see that the RGB gamut, the color gamut, versus the CMYK color gamut, they're very different. So CMYK is larger, covers a larger portion of the visual spectrum. So you need to know when you're working in RGB that some of the color decisions you make won't appear in printed material exactly like they do in the screens. We'll go over that again, but just to have that in mind as you start this whole process. This is RGB on a screen, so it's a close-up of a cursor, and you can see what's going on. This is actually, if you kind of blur your eyes, it starts to turn from the discrete RGB into white because it's those colors, RGB at full, max illumination, and the combination of them create white. So blur your eyes a little bit, kind of lean back, and you can see that that's actually a black cursor, which so the absence of color being emitted by these diodes, light-emitting diodes, on a white surface. Really cool. And this is what CMYK looks like. So this is imagine this is a printed picture of this landscape with flowers, and then it's these dots, though, magenta, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black dots, all printed here. And the array of those, like how they're overlapping with each other or adjacent to each other, is what creates that. Those discrete colors visually become unified colors. Okay, that's it with RGB and CMYK. And the screen size, this determines the pixels per inch, PPI. So 72, most of our screens are 72 PPI. The Retina high resolution screens are more than that, but right now 72 PPI is fine. And like I said, these are vector based as opposed to sort of pixel based images, raster based images. So that only comes into play when we export documents as raster things like JPEGs or PNGs. But you could set it up here. And then the preview mode default, all this is good. So let's just create this document and really quickly go over the tools because Beckett is nearly done with this tutorial. First thing I want you all to do is right here, this is where you can set up your workspace. It might be default for you at Essentials. I want to go to Essentials Classic because then we're all on the same space and we can kind of communicate, or it's easier to follow along in the tutorials. This is the toolbar, and then these are the panels over here. With Essentials Classic, you get this Properties panel, which when you switch to different tools, it changes, which is really great. It's intuiting predicting what it thinks you will want most with the tool that you select. So right now I have this black arrow, which is the selection tool. The shortcut is V on the keyboard, and I'll show you what it does. So I'm going to just quickly, and I guess a little bit more of this workspace. Can't remember what this bar is called, but it has important information that will change depending on what tool you have, so you can look up here. And then if you ever are looking for a certain panel that would populate on that side of the screen, oh my gosh, I could go over there. Ooh, over here on these panel areas, you would look for that in Window, and then come down here. For example, layers. Maybe that's a kind of good place to start. Layers, well, are just that layers of the design information of the images that you're making, the shapes, the text, that will be stacked on top of each other. And the higher it is on this list, I'll add another one, the higher up it is, right? I don't know, it's on top of, so layer 2 is on top of the information. If there were, let's say I'll hit M for rectangle, that rectangle would be on top of the rectangle on the layer below. That's sort of basic. And you just saw what I did. I click and drag it to the trash can. Oh my gosh, you're so close to being done. Oh, blue tape. Blue tape. Ooh.